Hi, friends. We're going to talk about 5 rules that should be broken, at least sometimes, or at least considered to be broken. So, when you're starting a business, there are always certain rules we are told to follow. Or maybe not rules, but like suggestions or good business practices that we seem to hear over and over and over again. And the more we hear it, the more we think, well, they must be true, right? Well, after 15 years of being in this business, I am still hearing these same rules. And I've come to realize you shouldn't always follow them. Are you ready for it? Rules were made to be broken. So, in this quick little live, I'm going to go over the 5 main rules, thoughts, ideas that I feel like I hear over and over and over again. And, like most rules, you should hear them, you should listen to them, and then you should consider where you need to break them, right? So the first rule, which to be honest, I've never followed this rule. And at one point in my business, I felt kind of bad about it because other photographers would say, oh, what's the saying? Spray and pray, right? The idea of overshooting. So the rule number 1 is overshooting is unnecessary and just creates more work. So there are surprising advantages to overshooting and kind of defying this notion that less is more. And I'm going to say this is actually my number 1 rule that I think most people should really consider if it works with their workflow to not listen to. So first, why this is a rule. From first glance, you don't overshoot because it takes more time behind the camera. It wastes film. Obviously, we know where that's going to end up when I argue that one. And it either costs more in time or in money. So in post-production, you're thinking, oh, the more you shoot, the more you have to go over it. Or if you're paying someone to do your editing, the more pictures you have, the more it costs. Well, these are good reasons, but here's my objection. It's simply psychology. The goal of a great photographer, especially in the wedding and portrait arena, is to get your subject or your client to feel comfortable, right? And to do this, they ultimately need to forget that the camera is there. Well, funny enough, the more you shoot, the more likely the client's going to forget the camera's there because they're going to keep hearing the clicks. So repetitive that their brain isn't being able to pose for it. They're just going to have to start relaxing, and it just kind of fades to the background and becomes less intimidating. And the less intimidating the camera is, the more natural they can be, the more fun they're going to have, the photo's better. So what's more important? Having a happy client who's more relaxed, or a little bit more work on the post-production end? Which, in this world of the digital world, unlike film, you can shoot as much as you want and you're not wasting any of it. And also, in this world of AI, you can edit so much faster than you ever could have decades ago when this rule was becoming a thing. So, rule number 1, overshooting. Rule number 2, the idea to sell yourself. I get this too. And it was definitely a very popular thing a few years ago to sell yourself, sell yourself. That's what makes you unique from other photographers and how you're going to stand out in a crowd, to play on your individualities, right? Because we're all people with the same camera trying to find really the same people, even though obviously we're going to niche down into our brands. We're all in the same arena, and we all at this day can take pretty photos. So this is true. But let me tell you a story. This was for me years ago, and I was in the process of looking up these amazing photographers and trying to get inspiration for my website. And I sat around, and this is what I've discovered. The ones who want to hear about the uniqueness of the photographers are other photographers. Let me tell you a story. I was looking at websites, like I said, trying to build stuff up. And I was sitting with several friends who are not photographers and not in the photography industry whatsoever, but they have really great taste. And to be honest, they had great budgets, and they were like my ideal clients. I showed them the websites of these people who were, in my mind, the best of the best. I thought they were phenomenal. I thought they were successful. I thought their photos were gorgeous. And in the end, I thought I wanted to show my friends this. So this is the crazy thing is, all of them, every single one of them looked and went, oh, why is it all about them? Instantly, their gut reaction is, why isn't this about the photos? Why isn't this about me? What they were really saying is, Not why is it about the photos, but why do I not feel attached? Why do I feel like this person doesn't necessarily care about what I want? And it's true because they spent too much time focusing on setting themselves apart from other photographers as opposed to setting their clients apart. Okay? So here's the thing. There is a place where you can sell yourself. And the first thing, though, people want to see, for example, isn't yourself. The first thing people want to see when they look at your website and look at your IG grid are your photos, because that's going to be the first thing that draws them in, right? Even though we're going to talk later about the importance of photography, when it comes down to it, they want a photo that takes a pretty photo. They don't want to see all about you. You can use the stuff about you in your stories and your reels and your about page, but still, the best way to talk about yourself is to talk about yourself in relation to your clients. I do yoga. Instead, I say, I like yoga. I do a few yoga moves every time before I shoot a wedding so I can get relaxed. Because if I'm not relaxed, how can I expect my couples to be relaxed? See what I did there? There's a switch. It went from here is about me to here is how my skill set can actually help you. So the next time you start talking about you, check yourself and see how it relates and see if you can spin it. You guys can always go to my website and check out my about page. I try to do this with certain specific characteristics that are important to me. Okay, so number 2. Number 3, rule number 3, don't start a photography business till your photography is great and you've honed your craft. This one might be a little controversial because we all want to believe that it's all about all of us having some innate, amazing artistic skill. But let's be honest, when it comes to weddings and portraits, it's really more about, or at least just enough about, I still say it's going to be more about the people, right? So when you hone in your craft, you should also be honing in your people skill and your business skills. Truly, you need all 3 to be a successful photographer. The photographer who can be decently good at all 3 is going to last longer and be happier in their career than the one who just excels at the one, right? All 3 of them. But if you're already thinking about becoming a photographer, you are probably already pretty decent at taking photos. In a way, the photo taking part is the easy part because you probably wouldn't even consider it a career. That's why spending more time on building your business and understanding people, that is important. A perfect example. If you look at the photos that I took 18 years ago, cringe. I look back, they're awful and compared to what I take now. And yet, here I still am. 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever the math is years later, I still have a business going. And that's because I knew my photography skill would grow over time in the field with the era and continuing with education. But the people skill and the business skill has to also grow right alongside with it from day one. I mean, the business part for me did not grow from day one, but I hit a slump and I didn't know what to do. And thank goodness business came into my life because that made the biggest difference. That's number 3. Photography isn't the number one thing when you're looking at it. Don't worry so much about honing your photography skills. Think about the business and the people skills as well. So then number 4, the customer is always right. How many of us have grown up hearing this saying? I'm here to tell you it's not true, especially in the world of photography. We are in a really interesting era where everyone carries a camera in their back pocket, right? Which also makes it seem that everybody thinks they're a photographer. Now, this is where that people person skill thing I spoke about earlier comes in. Our clients might think they know what they want or what is right, especially because everybody's different and everyone's getting outside information because everybody's a photography expert. But really, you're the expert. So how do you nicely explain that you are the expert and explain what's important? So this is the thing where it's up to you as the professional to gently explain and educate. Obviously, you never want to tell them you're wrong. You never want to tell your client you're wrong. You just want to show them examples and explain the reasons so that in the end, they walk out a little bit more educated, all right? Here's where establishing yourself as the expert and gaining trust is super duper important. Number 5, this one comes down to business. You have to niche down to be successful. This is something we hear over and over again in marketing and business, which there is a grain of truth to it. But it really comes down to what is the definition of what niche really means to you, right? I feel it, idea of niche is, if you don't know, it means you're going to kind of hone into one specific area of photography, right? Weddings and portraits, or just boudoir, or just family, or just brand, or just this, or just that, right? You don't want to spread yourself too thinly, and you also don't want to get lost in a gigantic market. So the more you can niche down, it might mean saying no to clients. You don't want to say yes to everybody. You want to say yes just to your ideal clients, and it's sometimes hard to do that. Here's the thing. Niching doesn't have to be about your photography type. It can really be also about your strong brand. I have always had a hard time with the idea of niching down because there are several areas of photography I love to do, and I think I can handle most. Weddings, families, kids, brand, even boudoir. I love these. Honest, newborn, not my thing. So newborn is something I don't promote, I don't push. If friends really want me to do it, I might, but I always suggest other people first. So the question becomes, how do you niche down? You have to know and have a strong brand. And if your brand can cover all these photography areas, that in a way is your niche, because instead of you niching with your type of photography, you're niching with your type of client, which again helps in that I love that I get to start photographing my couples with their engagement session, or even better, their proposal. I do their proposal, their engagement, their wedding. Then I end up doing their family portraits, but then they start a business and I already feel comfortable with me. They know that I'm fun and relaxed. Therefore, that becomes their brand photos as well, right? So the concept is to figure out your umbrella and stay underneath your umbrella. But your umbrella doesn't necessarily have to be a specific type of photography. So niching down your photography isn't necessarily something you have to do. Also, you want to make sure you photograph what you love, because that also is going to help you stay on brand, because your brand is something that you identify with. And if you're doing something that you don't love, it's going to not align with your brand, right? So when it comes down to it, you can really shoot anything and anyone, and you can actually widen your market by bringing in your brand personality into every single shoot. And this can create this cohesive business just as much as a niche. So I wanted to keep this one short, sweet, and full of great information. I threw a lot at you, and I hope it was fun. I hope you enjoyed these 5 rules to break. And if you can think of any other rules to break, let me know, because I would love to know the other rules out there that are available for you to break. So I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.